Dave Ruth,
Sure.
Karen Brieger, Tim Janderberg, Scott Bolger,
Yep.
Bill Mello, Susan Levinson, yes, Peter Perrin, Gail Mills, yes, Lauren Charette, Lorraine Furland, yes, Bruce Patrick, Carol Lord,
Yes.
Brian Monahan,
Yes.
Debbie Hendrickson, Norm Finnegan.
Yes.
We do have 8, the quorum is established. Do not have a need for a non-public at the top of the meeting. I do not see any members of the public here for comment, so we'll move on. And so, we have Mr. Ted Comstock here from the New Hampshire School Board Association and Mr. Barrett Christina as well. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm going to position myself so I can see all of you and the camera guys so that, somehow be able to I'm going to try to split two. Thank you very much for inviting us. As she mentioned, my name is Ted Comstock. I'm the Executive Director of the New Hampshire School Boards Association. And with me is Barrett Christina, who is our Policy and Legal Director. So it's our pleasure to be here tonight and to share with you some of the important things that we do for you, our members. We do value your membership because about 90% of the NHSBA budget comes from member dues. So member services are very critical to us. So I provided you a packet of materials. I think I'll introduce myself to each of you. Okay, let me get you one. And I have others if
Thank you, sir.
you would like others. I've included a variety of materials in the packet. I'm not going to go through the packet item by item because I don't want to take up more time than you would like us to take. However, I would like to highlight the many services, several of the many services that we provide. If you break it down, we provide training services, we provide legislative services, we provide policy and legal, and we provide administrative search services. So those are our basic 4 areas of service to our members. So I want to start with training. In there, in your packet, you will find something that looks like it's a trifold, and you should have actually all received one of these at your home address. Does that look familiar? I hope it does.
Yes.
This is, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you.
Good, let me give you
And
some.
have a folder.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I'm not going to go through each one of the training sessions that are offered here, but needless to say, we offer a training workshop essentially every month and sometimes twice a month during the school year of topics of concern to you. How do we know they are topics of concern to you? Because we do surveys, we talk to our members, they say, gee, would you put a workshop on about collective bargaining or budget preparation, superintendent evaluation? So when all that is collected, then it gets put onto this training academy agenda. And all of you are more than welcome to attend. We're actually doing a right to know workshop this coming Thursday. So we hope that all of you will be able to attend that. These are geared specifically for school board members. Superintendents are invited as well. But our major focus is providing our members the kind of information they need to do their job. Now, in addition to the School Board Academy, we also provide on-site training, and this is something that's being used more and more all the time. So if you would like us, any of your boards would like us to come out and provide an individualized, customized workshop on a topic of your choosing, we would be happy to do that without any additional charge, not even mileage. And we did 30 or 40 of those last year. Topics like roles and responsibilities, right to know, collective bargaining, evaluation, you name the list. We can put something together for you. So that's all included as part of your membership. So I'm gonna move to administrative searches. I know you've recently done a search. You have a great superintendent, so I'm assuming that that's not high on your priority list at this particular time. But there are many SAUs that are doing superintendent searches. We're doing about 7 or 8 of those this coming year. And so that's a service that's provided to the School Boards Association members. I'm going to ask Barrett Christina to talk about the policy and legal service, which is actually one of the paramount services of the School Board Association, because your role, as we frequently say, is a policy-making body. So a good deal of our service to all of you wraps around the policy function and helping you make sure that you have sample policies that can act to laws that meet your needs. And the other part, and Barrett's going to talk to you in a little detail about that, but the other piece that is really a cost saver is our legal services. Barrett is our staff attorney, fields calls on any school law topic that you can think of and any that you probably couldn't on basically a daily basis. And he's not a replacement for local counsel, but the way he's often used is if anyone has a question of a general nature and they think they know the answer, but they need, some affirmation on that, Barrett gets a lot of those calls. And that saves you from paying local counsel. And again, we're not trying to supplant local counsel, but we feel that we have a very real place to fill those kind of general questions, and that's a big part of his job, and that's all part of membership. So I'm going to ask Barrett to summarize what he does in those areas, and then we'll talk about the legislative function.
Thanks, Ted. I'll talk about the policy services first a little bit. One of the primary services that NHSBA provides its members is a policy subscription service where members, school boards that are members of that service can access all the NHSBA sample policies that I hope everybody in the room is familiar with. As NHSBA often tries to explain to members during our new school board member orientation, during our roles and responsibilities training, both on a statewide level and on an individualized level, school board's primary function is policy making. And that's not just coming from NHSBA, but if you look at the various statutes and various Department of Education rules, they dictate that school boards, their primary function is to establish policy on all the primary topics that you can think of: curriculum, dress code, superintendent evaluations, and all the other things that are listed in various Department of Education rules. Bullying has been in the news a lot lately, concussions. School boards are now required to have a concussion policy. So at the School Boards Association, rather than leaving the policy development up to individual school boards, that's where we come in. We develop the sample policy and then distribute them to our members. So school boards don't need to basically create a new policy on its own. You have the template that NHSBA has put out, provided to the district, so you can work through it to put the policies in place that you need. As I mentioned, there are 2 policy updates per year. The fall 2014 policy update will be distributed probably later this week, and that policy update always contains policies that need to be changed as are necessitated by changes of legislation from this past season. So look for that. Those are usually sent out through the central office, but I'm sure Bob will be distributing those to the individual boards as soon as he gets them. And then we send out another policy update in the spring as well, too, with other policies that need to be changed. Either statute has changed, legislation has changed, a court case may have interpreted a law one way or the other. So the NHSBA sample policy needs to be amended. But that's where, again, as a member service, where we come in and we handle that work for you, and then your board can review it and adopt it as needed. Also, as part of the policy services provided by NHSBA, we maintain a sample policy database. You've seen your policy manual is probably 4 or 5 inches thick. The NHSBA sample policy database is about 3 times that. So we maintain all those sample policies, and they're online, so you can log in, and if you want to search for a particular policy that you don't have in place, there's a search function. You can type in discipline or, say, tobacco or alcohol, and it will populate all the sample policies that have that word in it. You can download them directly to your computer in a format that allows you to copy and paste, so you can share them with your fellow board members, share them with your administration, and then develop and put those into your own sample policies as well, too. In addition to that, superintendents and school board members contact NHSBA on a regular basis to talk about policy needs. I'll get emails asking me to review a sample policy or review a local policy before the board adopts it, and to weigh in to make sure it's legally correct, to make sure that verbiage is accurate, to make sure it's compliant with the law. those are really the benefits of the NHSBA policy services that I hope your districts are taking advantage of. And if you're not, if you have any further questions about how you can access those and take full advantage of those, by all means contact the office and we'll be able to sort of steer you in the right direction, give you the password and username, things of that nature for the online database. Are your districts using those? Good. Glad to hear. Those are the primary functions that the NHSBA policy services provide. The policy update, so you know when a law changes, NHSBA is on top of it. The policy database, so you can go and search for policies that may not be in your policy manuals, but we have a sample policy on that topic that you can use. And then the ability to call NHSBA or send an email to NHSBA to get your policies reviewed. We do offer a couple other 4-fee services on the policy side. One is a policy review. That is an additional cost in addition to your membership fees. For $1,200, you can send NHSBA your full policy manual, and I will go through that word by word, line by line, page by page, and make sure that you have all the policies that are required by law, to make sure all the policies in your policy manual are up to date and legally correct, have the proper legal references, are in line with current practice. And at the end of that, we'll send it back to you with changes and a plan, if you will, to get your policy manual up to date. We'll send a 4 or 5 page report that talks about the status and condition of your current policy manual. And we've got a couple other services that are described in a little bit more detail online, a little bit more costly, a little bit more effort, if you will, and commitment by the school boards. Things that relate to a full policy customization. For example, if your policy manual hasn't been looked at or updated in 20 or 25 years, it may be easier to start from scratch. I hope none of your districts are in that position. If they are, but call us and we'll be able to work with you on getting them up to date. Switching gears a little bit, NHSBA policy services. As Ted described briefly, I think the biggest benefit that NHSBA members are able to tap into is having a staff attorney on staff at NHSBA to answer those sort of quick, broad-based legal questions that you may have, either your school board or your superintendent, where you don't necessarily need to call the district's private attorney at quite a bit of money per hour. I know Bob has certainly taken advantage of this, and we're always pleased to get the phone calls and the emails. I did a quick search of my emails the last few months, and Bob, we've exchanged maybe a half dozen emails the last 3 or 4 months on a variety of things. Right to know law, policies, best practices, what we may recommend in a particular set of circumstances. And as Ted sort of described, we fill in that gap between what your private counsel may be able to recommend in a very fact-specific set of circumstances, and that need for general knowledge. You know there's a statute that talks about X, but you're not quite sure where to find it. You know that there's a policy or there's a statute that has a policy implication, but you're not quite sure what it is. You're not quite sure whether or not this is a public document under the right to know law, or whether or not this is a public meeting under the right to know law. Those are the broad-based questions that NHSBA is able to answer, again, at no additional cost beyond what your membership dues and your membership fees are. In addition to the general legal services and information that we provide, as you see in the package that Ted provided you, we have a couple copies of a laminated series NHSBA puts out called At Your Fingertips. We do this not really on a regularly scheduled basis, but 2 or 3 times a year. We print these up. They're I guess, legal guides, if you will, that we distribute usually through the SAU offices. For those of you that may have been on your board for a while, I don't think we've done one in about a year, but some of you, these may look familiar to some of you. Again, more resources, and I think that's what NHSBA is really able to provide for its members, are additional resources that you might not be able to get otherwise. As you can see, some of these at your fingertips: a guide to parliamentary procedure, a guide to teacher non-renewal, a guide to right to know law, things that school boards deal with, perhaps at every single meeting, and things that are really important to the general boardsmanship and general governance structure within a school district. There are a variety of legal documents like this on our website. If you haven't been there, I'd urge you to check it out. It's www.nhsba.org, and I'm sure it's listed on a variety of the documents anyway. But if you sort around through there and scroll through the website, look under the legal services link, and then there's another link that says legal guides. Excuse me. You'll see a variety of documents that NHSBA has published and put together over the years, whether or not they're these legal, the at your fingertips legal guides, or sometimes there's an article that we'll put together if there's a United States Supreme Court case that has an impact or implication on school board governance, or a court case from New Hampshire Supreme Court that has an impact on school board governance or school board policy or affects the law. So there's documents on there that quick hitting, couple pages, couple paragraphs, quick information for what you need to know, how it affects school boards, what the policy implications may be, what the legal impact may be. A lot of variety of resources on the website, so check that out. I think that pretty much covers it in terms of the policy aspects and services that NHSBA provides, and the legal services that NHSBA is happy to provide as well too. So if you have any further questions about what these services may entail, obviously contact Ted or contact myself, and I'm glad to gotten to know Bob over the last couple of years through phone calls and emails, and we're always happy to help, and we're always happy to answer questions in the legal and policy realm to the best extent that we can.
Thanks, Brett. As you can see, our mission is to be kind of a one-stop shopping for our members, whether it be training, whether it be policy, whether it be legal, whether it be searches. We're sort of the go-to place for you to find the resources, as Barrett said, to do your job as best as you possibly can at the local level. And I wanted to close by talking a little bit about the legislative service. That's a big part of what the School Boards Association does. The legislature, as you know, meets every year. They're gearing up to do studies now, and they'll be in session again in January for a big session about budget. And so we have a real focus on making sure that the school board voice is heard at the legislature. So I have on my staff a person that spends a great deal of his time during the legislative session, and actually prior to preparing, to make sure that the School Boards Association represents the local governance voice that you all tell us that you want us to do. So that's a really big thing to us. We devote a lot of time and energy to that, and I think rightfully so. To keep track of all that when it's happening, we do a weekly legislative bulletin, which you can get on that list. That listserv, we hope you're on it. If you're not on it, let us know, and we'll be happy to provide that. We also do an annual legislative summary, which is just finished, which is it says this summary, but it's about a 15 to 20 to 30 page document online, available to you through our website. And we're going to send it out, I believe, a link to all of you that you can just click on. You're going to be able to access it on your home computer that way. But that will give you a rundown of all the major education bills that were passed in the last legislature. Now, in order to assist you with policy making and legal matters, under each one of those new laws will be a brief paragraph about the policy impact. So if you need to change any of your existing policies, that will guide you on how to do that. If there's any legal impact of the new law, which presumably there will be if they passed it, if there's any legal impact, then that will be described as well. So that will be your guide to help you navigate the new law. So that's a relatively brief summary of what we do, what we try to do to serve you, and what we do for your precious membership dollars that come to us. Happy to answer any questions that any of you have.
Sorry, I was late, but did you discuss this thing about the password?
Not yet.
No, oh, okay.
Bring it up.
We don't have, I've never been given a password or username to access the policies online.
We have the top that page.
Okay, so it's for the entire SAU, we all have one password
You do.
and one username?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, the online database,
great.
NHSBA, that's hosted for us by a third-party vendor, if you will. There's one username and one password that we distribute to the members, essentially once we receive their dues and make sure that they paid for that year. We then distribute it to the members. So it's not like you'll have one and Nottingham will have one and Northwood will have one. It's the same that we use that. If you don't have that, by all means, contact the office and we can get that to you.
Thank you.
Some of your classes have more than one date. Is that the same class multiple times, or are they?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
yes, a constant struggle is where we hold these sessions and when we hold them. And I know that all of you would appreciate there's no one good time for everybody. So some of them, because we've had requests from members to hold them at a couple of locations, we've done a repeat, but it's the same,
Okay.
it's the same workshop. But some, in the North Country folks, I love the North Country folks, but they sometimes feel a little discriminated against, because they say, well, you're in Concord and you never go north of Plymouth, so we try to accommodate them by, having some repeat sessions up there. But they're the same sessions.
That's the rumor. But do you have any studies or anything written down about multi-districts, how they can save money? Well, we just started our kind of getting the SAU to handle all of our accounting. We had a bookkeeper in 3 schools. We're now down, everything is centralized. So I don't know if there's anything like multi-districts, like with 2, 3, 4, 5, what they do to get things centralized. Maybe we could save more money on
Yeah.
facilities or something.
Two answers to that. We do have studies that one of the things we will provide are those sort of management studies. We've done that, several times over the past several years, and we'd be happy to share those with you. And we also, have resources online that I think we could help you with that as well.
I mean, we actually did a management study.